and welcome to another episode of Nightcap with Nightcat, the kitsch-minded show where we talk about toys, boys, and life's other joys. I'm so happy you're here. We've got such a fun show coming up. First of all, we've got a deer that kicks an old lady's ass in the litter box. Plus, we're gonna make some crazy art in Sunken Treasure, spooky art in Sunken Treasure, and I'm going to tell you a Nightcat classic tale that I promise you won't believe, but I swear it happened to me. It's a real thing. But before we get into any of that, I want to tell you about this new word I learned. I saw it on a meme because the memes are news and school now in addition to entertainment. Can I help you? Come on. Ugh. Oh, he's the worst. So this guy has a tendency to smack into the tripod while I'm recording unless I pick him up and hold him. So he might have to just sit here for a while while we talk about this. He wants to be in the show. My son's a star. There's a word called thalassophobia. Thalassophobia is the fear of the ocean / mostly like open water where there's a big deep underground that you can't see and anything could grab you. I have this, and I didn't know that there was a word for it, but there are apparently a lot of us. All right, I'll tell you exactly why I have thalassophobia. When I was a kid, I lived kind of by a pond in our neighborhood, and I used to have horrifying, recurring nightmares that I was swimming in that pond and I found a dead body. And this happened like every night. I would fall asleep and then immediately I was in that pond finding the same dead body. But the really messed up part was the pond changed with the seasons. So in the summer, I was just like, oh, taking a dip because it was hot and boom, dead guy's there. But in autumn, I'd brush aside some leaves and boom, there he was. If it was winter, I would look underneath the ice and this happened. Oh my God. Okay, go away. And this happened for probably a year straight. I had this nightmare almost every single night. But I think the spookiest part about this nightmare is that he looked exactly like Adam Sandler's boss in Happy Gilmore, the construction guy with the nail in his head, which is probably where my brain kept coming up with it. But ever since then, I have been terrified. Like, I'll go to a lake and I'll get in because I don't want to be a party pooper, but it is always scary because I'm always afraid I'm gonna find Happy Gilmore's boss somewhere. All right, let's get into some stupid news. Let's get into the litter box.
Ew, what stinks in here?
The litter box is the part of the show where I sift through the disgusting, stupid news so you don't have to. I'm just that nice a guy. You can thank me down in the comments. Let's get started in Woodland Park, Colorado, where a 77-year-old woman had a really aggressive encounter with a deer. She was taking in her groceries, she turned around, and the deer had wandered into the open door behind her and started munching on whatever she had just brought home. Naturally, she tried to scare it away, so she just starts hucking stuff at it. The deer, however, was not to be messed with. It is a polar vortex. He was cold and he was hungry. So he started bashing her. He just thrashed this old lady. And it got to the point where she had to grab a mop and just whack it until she got it out the door. She finally shoved it out. But honestly, I'm kind of on the deer side a little bit on this one because if anyone tried to stop me from digging into the groceries before they were put away, I would have a fit. Police believe that the deer keeps returning to the neighborhood because the woman's neighbors are feeding it. Imagine you just are always walking around that neighborhood thinking, that deer is around any corner. He's gonna come back and he's gonna have his revenge. The Huffington Post says a West Virginia woman recently tried to avoid prison by faking her own death. She was going to jail for some healthcare fraud. When the police showed up to take her to jail, her husband was just like, oh yeah, she's dead, George. His name's George. George was just like, nah, you can't take her. She's a corpse now. Sorry, bye. The police launched a massive manhunt because they didn't believe for a second that she was dead. They found her 2 days later hiding in a closet. That girl couldn't hack it in the closet for 2 days. Honey, I did it for 14 years. You're gonna be fine. She was sentenced to an additional year in prison for a total of 42 months. Her husband got charged with obstructing justice and could face up to 5 years in prison. He's getting over a year more than her, even though she committed an original crime and then a second crime. I feel like she was the one that was really obstructing the justice in that whole situation. A man in India thought that his computer had recently been taken over by hackers. These hackers started threatening him and demanding money, so he calls the police. The police look into it not even that hard. They're just like, oh yeah, turns out the call is coming from inside the house. It was his 11-year-old son, who had just taken a class on cybercrime and hacking in 5th grade. I love these kids. That's like objectively hilarious. I love these kids. I know every generation is supposed to hate the generation that's younger than them. I think these kids are hilarious. They all say whatever pops into their head and they all dress like garbage. These are my people. I was born to be a zillennial. And finally, KTLA says the Los Angeles police are looking for a man who recently robbed the famed Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. I guess he walked into the store looking to make an order, and they said, sorry man, you can't be in here without a mask. And he did not like that. By the way, I just feel like at this point, guys, it is not that much of an inconvenience. Well, instead of going out to get a mask, this guy got a gun. He held it at the employees and demanded, not money, chicken. He said, I want some chicken and waffles and I want it now. He took off with several of the to-go orders before the police could show up. But they still ain't found him as far as I'm aware. Maybe now, this is kind of an older story, but as far as I'm aware, and for our purposes, he got away with it. The Chicken Crusader. If he's willing to commit armed robbery for chicken and waffles, what kind of sick stuff do you think he's willing to do for a Klondike bar? I mean, I'll bet it's nasty. And that is the litter box. You know, it's cold, there's a polar vortex, and we're all in our pajamas anyway, so why not start playing with some toys? Let's find some sunken treasure! Sunken Treasure is the part of the show where we dig through my toy collection and we play with something awesome! This week, we have one of the best finds I've ever found on the Shop Goodwill. If you haven't been on the shopgoodwill.com, it's literally just shopgoodwill.com. They have all the really good stuff that the Goodwill gets that they don't want to put on the floor because they know they can get a little bit more for it, but usually it's still pretty cheap. Obviously, you get into bidding wars, which is how I've gotten into some trouble around here. But this one I actually got for kind of a steal, and I was really excited about it because I've never seen anything like this. It is the Tomy, Lord Voldemort and Severus Snape character casting kit. The box is a little roughed up, but it's still very fun. You literally make plaster molds of Voldemort and Snape. Now, I couldn't find a whole ton of information on this, just that it was made by Tomy in 2010 to coincide with the Deathly Hallows Part 1 release. Okay, I gotta tell you, I've been waiting on these forever. They finally showed up, and I was so excited to do one, but I waited for you. That's how much I care about you. This one is Lord Voldemort. Let's see if I can get him in decent light. That's Lord Voldemort, believe it or not. The back of his head. And then we've got a Severus Snape. Look at those flowing locks of hair, you gorgeous monster. And then we've got some metallic paint, which is like 11 years old, so I don't know how good it's going to be anymore, but who knows, we can give it a go. And this is the casting case. I just realized I was a bad crafter and forgot all of my stuff, so stay tuned just a second. Okay, we're back. I think first we have to decide, is it gonna be Lord Voldemort or is it going to be Severus Snape? I'm feeling maybe, oh, well that settles it. We're doing Voldemort. Snape just fell off the table, so that's it for Snape. You open it up, the mold fits right in here perfectly. Very, very snug. So there's the back half. There's the head. Face parts. It's got all these little knobbies. It's actually a surprisingly really good mold. It feels high quality, which I was not expecting. theoretically, this is supposed to fit together and then these just sort of latch on, but I am having a hard time. There we go. There we go. There we go. Snug as a bug, buddy. So now, the thing is, we don't have any instructions. We're gonna have to guess. The internet says plaster is usually a 1-to-1 ratio. By the way, this is a spoon that says serial killer. I don't know if you can see that. Serial killer. Is it about a half a cup? All right, come here. Cute kitty ball. I'm guessing about a half a cup. Okay, yep. It's about a half a cup. And then I'm gonna do a half a cup of water, but I am gonna add it gradually on account of I don't wanna do too much and then run out of plaster. I've never done any sort of plaster molding before. I don't even know what kind of texture I'm looking for here. Is it like a pancakey thing? Is it supposed to be more solid? This doesn't feel right at all. This feels way too runny. Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up. What consistency is plaster? Batter? What is it called? Plaster batter? Plaster mix, I'll bet, is what I need to be Googling. The consistency you're looking for is almost creamy. Well, this is almost creamy. Okay, maybe I just a scooch more. Smooth, almost creamy. If it's still too watery. But what is too watery? That feels too watery. That was like a waterfall. I'm just gonna add some more plaster mix. Ugh. This is the problem with buying used toys. As much as I love them, you never know what you're gonna get. I am just making an absolute mess. You know what? Hold on. Actually, I don't want to ruin my bear sweater. Spooky! Spooky apron. All right, here we go. See, now I think maybe this might be a little too thick. Man, I really should have done more Googling before I did this. I think that's where I shall stop. Well, that's not how I thought it was gonna pour. Freddie, not now. You're the worst cat. I love you so much. Go away. I did a little too much, and I don't know what to do with it now. That's the business. I'll wipe this down later. Good morning. I let it sit overnight. Now we're gonna see how it turned out. This was the longest night of my life. Oh, he's gorgeous. I mean, there were some holes we're gonna have to patch because there were some air bubbles in him. But he's so cute. Okay, 10 out of 10. Great toy. #1 toy. Would recommend. I'm gonna make 1 million of these. It is time for another Nightcat Classic Tale. Nightcat Classic Tales is the part of the show where I tell you one of my life experiences, and this is a cautionary tale. I am telling you, you should never buy a massage on Groupon. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory, except a few years ago, I didn't think that. So we're gonna talk about what happened to me when I spent $40 on a Groupon massage. I get to the massage parlor. I don't know if that's what we call them anymore, because that has certain connotations, but that's not the type of massage it was. I got into the parlor, which was really just like an office space. Like, it was just an office that you go and there was a waiting room, and every door was locked and there was no one there, and I sat there for 15 minutes into my 1 hour massage. It's 25% of my 1 hour massage already before she finally shows up, and I wish I could tell you this woman's name. I won't drag her like that. That's not cool. But I live in Utah, and I have seen some stupid names, and this woman had the dumbest name ever. And I know that that's not a reason to make fun of anybody, but, you know, it's not a reason either. I was really upset because she was wasting my massage time. So she gets in, she makes me fill some intake paperwork, and I should have just lied and said, nope, healthy, strong as an ox, never had an injury, because that comes back to bite me later. So I list all my injuries, all my previous surgeries, blah, blah, blah. Finally, we go into the massage room. And she says, okay, I'm gonna give you some privacy. Go ahead and dress down to your comfort level. You can keep your underwear on if you want, but I really prefer to do it nude. And I was like, I mean, like, I usually get my massages naked, but now you made it weird, bro. I'd really prefer to do it nude is not something you say to a stranger who is paying you professionally. That is something you say in the backseat after prom, okay? That's not what you should be telling me right now. So, against my better judgment, I did get completely naked. She comes on in. She starts rubbing my head, and I was like, finally, we're 25 minutes into my massage, and we're finally getting hands on this body. Let's do it! And she's massaging, and she stops, and she starts praying over my head. A hippy-dippy, weird prayer. She's like, universe, please remove all of the bad energy from his body, and from this room, and from this building, and from this city, and from this county, and from this state. The bitch went to outer space. She just went to every level of location until she got to space, and she asked the universe to purge all negative activity. And finally, she gets back to rubbing my head. And then she stops, and I hear the unmistakable sound of texting. Not only is she texting, she didn't even have the decency to turn her ringer off. So I could hear click, 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 as she was texting, millimeters from my earballs. So she gets into it, and finally, she's finally doing some work. And she says, you know, you listed ankle injuries, because I've sprained my ankles like a million times, on your intake form. Hey, do you have problems with your ankle? I go, yeah, I've just sprained them. It's normal. I'm whatever. And she goes, well, you know, we all have a subconscious that tells us things. And maybe your subconscious is telling you that maybe your subconscious is telling you to hurt yourself on purpose because you don't have confidence. You're afraid to stand on your own 2 feet. And this is how it's manifesting itself. And she says, does that ring a bell? I'm like, woman, I weighed in at 328 pounds, shirtless, in front of millions of Americans on national television. Confidence is the least of it. I am like a borderline narcissist. I don't think that that's the problem. And then she proceeded to tell me all about how she kept hurting herself until she left her abusive ex-husband. And then we got into the ex-husband thing. And here's the thing, man, about massage therapists. Don't talk to us. Okay, unless I'm trying to get you to talk to me, don't talk to me. I feel the same way about getting my hair cut. I know they train you in school. I did cosmetology school for a second. I know they train you to have good bedside manner, to make small talk. I don't like it. I wish every salon had a button that I could push that said, no, don't talk to me, or yes, please, let's have a lively conversation. But I feel like I'm being held emotionally hostage when I'm getting my hair cut, because I gotta be nice. She's gonna make my hair look bad if I don't, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's going on inside their heads, you stylists. As she's telling me all about her ex-husband, she moves down to my legs. And I don't know if you've ever had a massage or not, but what they do is they lift your leg, they kind of bunch up the sheet, lift your leg, and then they tuck it under your leg. This gal did not follow that protocol. She grabbed a handful of sheet and just sort of jammed it right up my butt crack, which is a bold move because you never know how clean anyone's butt crack is, and that was a white sheet. I had cheeks separated by cheap cotton. Right up the crack. And that's really when I realized what a mistake I had made, paying $40 for a Groupon massage. But I'll tell you what, that is not a mistake that I'm ever going to make again. That'll be the last time I spend $40 on Groupon for a massage, because I refuse to pay to be molested by your bed sheets. And maybe think twice before you let them drape that sheet over you over at the massage parlor, because it might be my butt crack sheet. That's Nightcat. Classic Tales. I always want to do it with the one that doesn't literally have a cup in it, because I'm so used to mirroring. Oh, you fancy. Nightcat Classic Tales. Let's move it on home to my hometown. It's time for some hometown horrors.
Here, kitty.
Hometown Horrors. I've gone through my community Facebook page for my hometown and I've dug up some gold for you to laugh at. I only have one this time, but it's pretty good. Ogden, as much as I trash it, Ogden, Utah actually is a really beautiful place. Stunning mountains. The nightlife has actually gotten really good. I enjoy Ogden a lot. So when I first saw this caption here that said, "This made me think of our town," I was like, oh, well, it's probably a kayak over on the Ogden River, or, you know, maybe they did some cool mountain biking shots. There are all sorts of things that you could photograph in Ogden. That's not what it was. This is what reminded her of Ogden. Just a construction sign that says, "Fiber optic cables do not have copper." So if your hometown needs a copper wire warning, well, you know you're from Ogden. That is Hometown Horrors. Let's tuck you little night kittens into bed with some warm milk. Warm milk, a warm and fuzzy to help you get to sleep tonight. Last week I did the Valentine's Day video that I made for work a little while ago, and it was so well received that I thought we might do something like that again. This happened probably like 2 years or so ago. I was out on downtown Salt Lake City doing a bit called Jackson on the Street. So I was running all around town asking people, what's so great about life? And then I jam a microphone in their face, and it was very startling for a lot of people. Most of them put some really generic answers. They're like, I love my dog. My daughter's the reason I wake up every day. Oh, I love a beautiful sunset, blah, blah, blah. And then there was this guy. This is the most interesting man I have ever interviewed. Please enjoy. You tell me, what's so great about life?
Hey, man, everything's great about life, man. Hey, good things about life is puppies, you got soda pop, you got females, you got the Dallas Cowboys. Can't go wrong.
I love, that's a solid list. You had that ready to go.
Hell yeah, all day. You know what I'm saying? I stay on it. Never sleeping, you know what I'm saying? Hey, shout out Salt Lake. Shout out my mama. Hey, shout out Eastside King Crip, my hood.
Shout out medical marijuana.
All right. Hey. All right.
Another thing to be thankful for.
Hell yeah. Hey, man. Hey, I appreciate what y'all doing out here. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? Y'all stay safe and y'all do y'all thing.
Yeah. You have a great day, man. That was you were the most positive person I've met all day.
Hey, I just got out of jail this morning.
Oh, congratulations. Welcome back to society.
Thank you, man.
We're excited to have you.
Hell yeah. Appreciate that.
See ya.
All right, y'all.
Welcome back to society. He, turns out, is a rapper named Texlock. I found that out because all of his friends from high school tagged him in this video when I posted it. So hey Texlock, what up? That's Warm Milk, and that is Nightcap with Nightcat. Thank you so much for watching. It really does mean everything to me that you come and watch this video every single week. Please make sure that you like them, that you comment on them, because that's gonna help bump us up in the algorithm. I wanted to give you an update. If you take a look at the thermometer, we're about halfway through our next quarter milestone. So let's get sharing. Let's tell everyone about Nightcap with Nightcat. Guys, listen. I need this, okay? I need some validation. I'm not above begging for it. If you wouldn't mind, tell some friends about it. And every time I do this, Jess, my buddy, wants a shout out, and he always asks, where's my shout out? So Jess, here's your shout out. Take that. I shouldn't feed the strays like this. Good night. I'll see you next week.